Welcome to the Freedom and Prosperity Podcast with your host, Desi Arnaz. Join us as we explore the journeys of top achievers who share strategies and stories about their success and living life on their own terms. Get ready to be inspired.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Desi Arnaz, your host of the Freedom and Prosperity Podcast. And today, I'm excited because we have an amazing guest for you guys today. His name is Jerry Sanders. Jerry is the president and CEO of First Shield Financial. They are a company based in Jacksonville, Florida. And Jerry has quite a journey that he's gone through. He's a very accomplished real estate investor. Been involved in real estate transactions for many years, doing everything from single-family homes to multifamily properties, undeveloped land, promissory notes, first and second positions. I mean, he's the well-rounded guy. So I think you guys are going to enjoy today's podcast. Welcome, Jerry. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Desi. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so happy that you're here today.
Great.
I'm excited to speak with you a bit here.
Okay.
So Jerry, I know that you've got quite a bio, and I know that your story is also very inspiring for a lot of people. So if you don't mind, kind of give me a little bit of a backstory about how you kind of got into this space, the real estate space, maybe what your background was a little bit before that, just so people can get a feel for who you are.
All right, that sounds good. Well, I guess just the high level look at the background, I began my career in corporate America. Just like everybody else, did the rat race thing, got fairly high up in a couple of very large corporations, ran some global businesses, that kind of thing, and just kind of got burnt out on that. After a while, it just starts to get to be a routine, and I started doing some more entrepreneurial things. Way back in the day, I'd done some real estate, and started doing a little bit more of that as an entrepreneur. I started several other businesses, became kind of a serial entrepreneur. We had a staffing company that we owned for at least a decade, did some energy work, building natural gas pipelines, things like that. And then ultimately just decided to settle down and just focus on real estate, was doing some flips, buying tax properties, rehabbing them, renting them out. And then one day I discovered notes. Just kind of stumbled into it.
Yeah. So you kind of stumbled into the note investing space. Is that your primary business model now?
We still have the rental properties out there. So that generates a lot of cash. But my first love right now is just doing the notes.
Oh, yeah?
And that's taken off for us. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Jerry, I do know this. A lot of the people that are watching our podcast today or listening to it today are not really familiar with notes. So do you mind kind of sharing a little bit about what that is so that people can understand what it is that you're talking about?
Sure, absolutely. So most of us, when we go out and, we buy a house, you go to closing and you get writer's cramp filling out all that paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
When you fill out the paperwork, you actually put together, you sign two documents. One's called a mortgage and the other is called a promissory note. Promissory note just says, I agree, I promise to pay back the lender for the money that they gave for me to buy the house. So what we buy is we buy those notes from banks. One of the things that a lot of folks have seen, and when you do go through closing, you do buy your house, within weeks, months, or maybe a few years, you get a letter in the mail from the bank saying your note has been sold, or we're transferring you to someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had
in our case, we're the folks that buy those notes.
Oh, you are the someone else.
We're the someone else.
Okay. All right.
So, so that's what the note investing world is about. I think back in when the market crashed, that was when the world opened up to allow us, private investors to be able to buy these things. But banks have been doing this for years, back and forth between each other and insurance companies and whatever. For me, I just like the idea of being able to own the financial part of a piece of real estate. When I was on the other side of it, when I'm doing landlord stuff, you're dealing with all of those problems, tenants, termites, toilets,
Yeah.
whatever. And, you know, I found out that, my biggest expense was to the bank. And
That's true.
the bank doesn't have to worry about tenants. They don't have to worry about toilets. They don't have to worry about trash. And they get the biggest cut.
And you thought to yourself, I should be on that side of the table, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and at the beginning of the month, it's great when this money comes into my bank account and it's like, wow, that was a rent payment
Yeah.
and I didn't do anything. And I got 300 more of these coming.
Wow. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's a really nice thing. And so that gives you the first part of our podcast then, that gives you freedom, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It
So
does.
let's talk about that. What
Okay.
kind of freedom do you experience now that you have all this income coming in from your note portfolio?
Well, it gives us a chance to spend time, my faith, being able to do things on a charitable basis,
Hmm.
being able to spend more time with family.
Hmm.
A year or so ago, we did a trip to South Africa, to Cape Town.
Wow.
Loved it. Now we're planning another trip to Panama. So,
Yeah.
being able to travel, whatever, and even when I'm traveling, being able to, the note business, I can do that from anywhere on earth. So that's
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So for me, that's the freedom to be able to just do the things that I want to do. When I was in corporate
Far different
America, I
from
was,
corporate, from being
yeah.
corporate. Very
Oh,
different.
yeah. Yeah. With corporate, I remember once getting a phone call, and it was the president of a large shipping company, a global shipping company. And he goes, I want to talk to somebody that can make a decision. And that's when you want to crawl under your desk.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're nothing here.
Yeah, because and then you get on an airplane, you fly to Europe, and he wines and dines you, and then he tells you what he wants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't have a choice. You get on the plane, you do what you got to do. Now I can do whatever I want to do.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And you have a family then, right? You said you took your
Yes.
family to South Africa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Married. I have a couple of kids from my first marriage.
Hmm.
My wife has a couple of kids from her first marriage.
Hmm.
And we have, between the two of us, 6 grandkids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Grandpa Jerry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a thrill too. I'm a grandfather too. That's one of the most thrilling things in my life, actually. You
Yeah.
know, pretty amazing how grandkids are. We treat our grandkids so differently than we did our kids, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I used to ask my parents about that. It's like, well, why are the kids getting away with that when I couldn't get away with that? And they said, well, we learned it.
That's
So now I
right.
can say the same thing. I learned
That's
it.
right. Zig Ziglar, you remember Zig Ziglar, right? The
Yeah.
motivational speaker. He once said something I thought was so funny. He said, if I had known how wonderful grandkids were going to be, I would have been nicer to their parents. Zig was a funny guy.
Yeah. I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a funny guy. We miss Zig, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, Jerry. So it sounds like you're living a pretty good life now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
We're all about freedom and prosperity, and you are showing that prosperity can be obtained. It seems like though to me, when I think about buying a mortgage, and maybe other people that are watching this might be wondering the same thing. I think about these mortgages. I mean, today mortgages are like $500,000. I mean, how many of those can you even buy? Right? And
Um,
how do you finance them? How does all that look?
yeah. So that's a good question. And, when I first got into this, that was one of the concerns that I had. It's like, well, I don't have $500,000.
Yeah.
But what I will say is mortgages come in all sizes. There are small mortgages, there are large mortgages. We have what we call a buy box, which determines the size of the notes that we will buy. So I don't
Mhm.
buy those really big ones.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I'll say is that we also work with investors.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be a $500,000 mortgage, but you may have 4 or 5 folks involved
Oh,
in putting that deal together.
oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
So then
Yes.
there's some expertise that's required to make all that stuff happen. And that's you
Yeah.
obviously taking the time to gain that expertise.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you say that's worth it.
Yeah, it is. And, and as they say, don't try this at home.
Yeah. Listen,
You
boys and
know,
girls, don't try this at home.
yeah. But yeah, it does take some expertise. It does take some training and some knowledge. But
Good.
once you've mastered the craft, it's a ball.
It's a game changer, huh?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what else is interesting about it too? You might find that your family, your children or grandchildren kind of like it because I remember when I was a landlord, I own a few notes too, Jerry, I should
Yeah.
mention. But
Yeah.
when I was a landlord and flipping houses, my kids were not interested in that. One of my sons helped me once
Yeah.
working on one house to flip one house. He showed up for a few
Yeah.
days
Yeah.
and that was the end of it. He
Yeah.
had nothing to do with it,
Yeah.
climbing underneath that particular place in a crawl space and, you know, ripping out kitchens. He wasn't interested in that at all.
No,
But, it sounds like to me, since you don't have to deal with any of that, that's probably going to be a lot more attractive.
it is. It is, Desi, and it's real interesting that you say that. Um, when I was doing more landlord stuff, you're right. Getting family members or other folks excited about it is not easy. You know,
It's either
um,
work and
yeah,
a
yeah.
headache.
It's just in their case, it's just another job.
Yeah.
But then, once you start doing the note business and, you're sitting in an office, it's comfortable. Folks kind of like that.
Hmm.
And, then, I know one of my daughters, every month she gets this little ding on her phone and there's money.
Wow.
So,
Oh, she's into notes too?
yes.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. And one of the things we've started doing is buying those for the grandkids.
Oh, that's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah. So, one of the ways, I growing up, no one really taught me financial whatever.
Right.
I learned it, through books and whatever. But we decided that we would do for every grandkid's birthday and for Christmas, we give them a piece of a note.
Now that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So now
So
they have a percentage of a note.
yes.
So that's
And
cash
every
flow that
month
they can have?
yeah, every month they get a check or, a deposit into a bank account. And I remember the first one that got one. Um, this was the middle daughter. And, she's standing there. Her mom opens this thing up, this little gift from the grandparents, gives it to her. The other kids are going, well, when do we get ours? you know, and, my thinking was just, all right, how do I teach you financial literacy? How do I teach you owning something other than a toy or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
And, now, the note, what we gave her is $1,000.
Wow.
And, you know, she's getting a few
Her
bucks
little
every month.
her little percentage every single month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty brilliant. I like that idea, Jerry, and I
Yeah.
haven't heard anybody else talk about that at all.
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
about people talking about buying, giving a full-on note to their children and grandchildren. But what you're
Yeah.
showing her is really even better to me because she's getting a piece of it and she's going to be curious about, okay, so how does this actually work? At some
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
I don't know how she is now, but at some point she'll likely want to just understand this.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, she's 8.
Okay. Yeah.
So, it's sort of like, I'm not quite sure what this is,
Yeah.
but, mom says, I got another check in the mail.
I'm not sure what this is, Grandpa, but keep them coming.
Yeah. Yeah. She understands money.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was just out to dinner 2 days ago with my grandson and his son, my great grandson. And
Yeah,
I never know what to buy my grandson. He has everything. He buys himself everything. Right before his birthday, he'll go out and go shopping for himself. It's like, why don't
yeah,
you leave some of that stuff for us? Okay.
yeah,
But so we just start giving him money now, And so we put money
yeah.
into an envelope, and his son, my great grandson, 9 years old, he saw the money and his eyes lit up. He's like, oh, yeah. So yeah, even at a young age, they understand
Yeah,
the value and the importance of money.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
And that was what was behind everything. And if you think about it with the little kids, and just even when we were kids, Christmas comes, you're really excited, you got all of these toys, and then 4 days later you're doing something else.
yeah,
And so I just wanted to do something that had a long lasting effect,
yeah. That's
and
true prosperity there. You really
yeah,
are spreading the prosperity.
yeah, yeah,
And if they'll pick up on what you're teaching, they can have the freedom too. They can
yes,
have the freedom that you have, the freedom to travel the world,
yeah,
freedom to work from home, the freedom to not have a boss.
yes.
Woo-hoo. Boy, that must come through for some folks, right? Not have a
Oh
boss.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jerry, let's do this. Let's kind of, pivot just a little bit. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk about the things that you enjoy to do outside of your investing and working. What's your life like?
My favorite thing to do is flying airplanes.
Oh, you're a pilot.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
Wow. Do
yeah.
you own a plane?
I used to.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
but you can rent planes to fly, can't you?
Yes. Yeah. They're
Oh,
all over. You go out to the smaller airports, you get checked out, and you can rent something that you can fly all over the
yeah.
place.
You ever have any interesting flights?
Um,
Interesting experiences while you're up there?
yeah, I've had a few. Hopefully folks aren't afraid of flying, but I remember once I used to live in Atlanta. I had my plane and I was coming back from I think it was Pensacola. And I'm rated to be able to fly in the clouds and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm flying in the clouds and there are flashes going off.
Hmm.
And I ask air traffic control because the radio's getting quiet. When there are a lot of when the weather's bad, you don't have a lot of planes up other than the commercial guys and a few people like me. So there's no noise on the radio.
Yeah.
And I asked the air traffic control what's going on. He's like, I think I see flashes. And he's going, yeah, well, there's lightning everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't want to hear that.
yeah, no, you don't. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess I should get on the ground. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're sitting inside a little metal box in the middle of a lightning storm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was an interesting flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And the planes that you fly can't go over the storms like some of these giant super jets.
Yeah, my plane had a ceiling of about 20,000 feet,
Okay.
but it wasn't pressurized. So, and I didn't have oxygen on it, so I
Okay.
couldn't fly over. But,
Yeah.
thunderstorms get up even higher than that. So, I
Yeah, they
had to run
do.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Well, boy, that's an interesting thing. I've never been in a really small plane.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
maybe one
one
day when I'm
day,
when I'm down there in Florida, maybe we can go down to because I know you're down in Pensacola. Well, you're down in Pensacola, right? That's where you're at?
Jacksonville,
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
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 If I'm down that way, maybe we can go up.
Yeah.
My wife
Absolutely.
will have a heart attack though, but she won't want me to go because she's afraid of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's fun. That's freedom. When we talk about freedom, being able to fly, and that was kind of for me, that was a way to escape.
Yeah.
You get up in the air, there's nothing up there. The sky's pretty big. You're seeing things you don't normally see, a
Yeah.
different perspective. You can turn your music on and you can get
Wow.
crazy. Nobody can see you that you're getting crazy in the airplane. So that's that I love it. You know, so
Yeah.
that's one of my
Passion.
my vices.
Yeah. What are your passions, I would say, more so
Yeah,
than advice. But yes,
yeah,
that's fantastic, Jerry.
yeah.
Well, you know what, Jerry, I do appreciate you sharing that. If someone wants to reach out with you, are you open to having
Absolutely.
people reach out to you?
Yeah. You can reach me, Jerry at oneshieldfinancial.com.
Is the number one?
Um, the number one, financial
Okay.
shieldfinancial.com.
Okay.
Or you go on our website, firstshieldfinancial.com, and you can go to the link and
It'll
schedule
connect.
time to talk.
Yeah, it'll connect you. So
Yeah.
guys, you guys can reach Jerry at First Shield Financial.com,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
FirstShieldFinancial.com. You can reach out to Jerry. If you want to talk with Jerry about investing in notes, or if you want to talk to Jerry about his piloting experiences, I'm sure he probably won't be able to shut them up if you start him down that road. So
That's true. That's true.
okay. So you might want to think about that before you call him. Make sure you get all your other questions answered first, then talk about the
Let's
pilot.
talk about flying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. So, Jerry, I do appreciate you sharing with us today your story. It's a very
Yeah.
intriguing story, sounds very exciting, and I'm looking forward to the day when you and I can fly together. I'm
Absolutely.
not a pilot, but I'll come in there as your passenger and let you show me
Oh,
around. All right? Looking
that
forward to
sounds
that.
great.
All
Okay.
right. And so you guys, I want to thank you guys too for joining us today on our show, the Freedom and Prosperity Podcast. And I'm looking forward to having our next episode prepared and sent out to you guys here real soon. Again, thank my special guest today, Jerry Sanders. And God bless you guys. And we'll
All
be
right.
talking with you guys very, very soon.
Thanks, Desi.
Thanks for tuning in to the Freedom and Prosperity Podcast with Desi Arnaz. Want to share your success story with our audience? Head over to freedomandprosperitypodcast.com/guest and apply to be our next guest.